Welcome back to What She Said Sports. All right, y'all. So it's Sunday night, and we have a great show with some good info. As you can see, we're talking about Shedeur tonight. But before we get into that, there's another topic that connects to it, and I want to make sure that we show some love. Now we talked about Shedeur Sanders being the latter. A lot of guys, Jackson State, CU, basically came to CU balled out, Jackson State balled out, and now they're in the league. We got Zay Weaver, and y'all know that was last year's the first year's class. Then we have now, the second year class: Travis Hunter, LaJohntay Wester, Jimmy Horn Jr., and Will Sheppard. Will Sheppard report out of Green Bay. He catching everything they throw. Now, this weekend, there were a few Family Fest and Fun Fest games put on by certain ball clubs of the NFL for their fans. And I'm happy to report that 3 of the aforementioned buffs, LaJohntay, Jimmy, and Will Sheppard, all their teams had games. They all scored touchdowns. Jimmy Horn Jr. scored 2 touchdowns. So the guys are doing well, right? The guys are doing well. All their respective ball clubs love them. Like I said, Will Sheppard getting praises. Don't know why he didn't get on in Denver. Don't know what happened. But Green Bay seems to appreciate his talent. And he caught a touchdown. And I guess he kind of like flipped over and emerged with the ball, still clinched to his stomach area. In other words, he was good. He was good. And, the Panthers love Jimmy so much. They asked him, was he ready to play defense? And, he gave that little look like, I'm willing to play anywhere on the field. But he looked at them like, y'all got me confused with Travis. So the guys are doing good. We know they have a bunch of preseason games coming up this week. But I just want to take a moment and just show love to the guys who had the opportunity to play games in front of the audiences, their home fan bases. And the Buffs players balling out. They balling out. So now when it comes to the Cleveland Browns, man, when I tell y'all, I'm like, we got to be close to some type of remedy. I'm like, forget a solution. I need a remedy. I don't need a solution for a starter. I need a remedy for this entire situation. So this weekend, I guess Thursday, Friday, Saturday, today, all of the shows that, discussed Cleveland basically were saying, he should have got drafted earlier, right? And that's what I mean by a remedy. There has to be a remedy for what took place in the draft because it was the driver for everything else, right? Having Shedeur in the first round being locked out, what did that do? It pushed him down further. The further down you push, the less money you make, and they try to use the round to dictate your skill set. Now, we know Shedeur is a first-round QB drafted in the 5th round. Just a reminder, the facility also said it. But now other people are saying it. He should have been drafted sooner. But nobody wants to touch on the fact that nobody could draft Shedeur. He was colluded against when they locked him out of the first round, nobody could get him. Then they took him off the board. Nobody could definitely get him. So people were like, well, not everybody needed a quarterback. 13 quarterbacks were drafted. 13 quarterbacks were drafted. The quarterback drafted last, Quinn Ewers. They're now saying, he's developing faster than anybody thought. Quinn Ewers was the 4th projected QB to be drafted. Now let's talk about the quarterbacks that are struggling. It shouldn't be a surprise that Tyler Shaw is struggling. It shouldn't be a surprise that Dylan Gabriel is struggling. It should not be a surprise that Jackson Dart is also struggling. This is how they want to describe Jackson Dart. He's getting better. Okay, but then when they describe Abdul Carter, he's doing fabulous. So you can just see right there, they don't want to say out loud, Jackson Dart should have never been drafted ahead of Shedeur or Quinn Ewers. Tyler Shaw should have never been drafted ahead of Jalen Milroe or Quinn Ewers. Yes, they colluded against Quinn Ewers, obviously for different reasons. Because they didn't defame Quinn Ewers. They didn't humiliate Quinn Ewers. They didn't lock him out of the first round. So if they thought, well, let's push Quinn Ewers down so nobody will say anything, they'll just think it's a process. False. False. Quinn Ewers could actually start in Miami because they believe Tua doesn't have much time to play. They know one concussion and he's gone. So that could be strategic. They're saying he could bump up to QB2. I have no idea who he's behind. But if anybody tries to say, no, they did that to Quinn Ewers too. No, they didn't. You didn't see anybody connected with the New York Giants or any other organizations with inside information trying to humiliate him. Boomer Esiason did not say, the owner said, take that entitled so-and-so Quinn Ewers off the board. They did not. They didn't try to harm Quinn Ewers emotionally. They didn't try to humiliate Quinn Ewers. Who knows why they pushed him down in the draft? But his family wanted to sue for collusion, and I don't blame them. They called it first. So it's not the same. So yeah, they have devalued other quarterbacks, but what they did to Shedeur wasn't just devaluing. See, pushing somebody down in the lower round, saying you a 5th round QB, well, you know what that does? It robs you. If you were a 5th round projected QB, you good. And when you go to your team, you likely won't get to pick your jersey number or start because you're considered a developmental QB. See, that wasn't the case. I don't even know if Quinn Ewers was a 1st round prospect. I don't believe he was. But even his family was upset. We know Shedeur was a 1st round prospect. We know they locked him out of the 1st round. We know they took him off the board. We know they humiliated him. We know they gave out his phone number. We know he wasn't available and he magically ended up in Cleveland. We know the owner, he wasn't his pick. So he's not there because of the owner. We know, well, I do because I did the research, that Andrew Berry told the Jacksonville Jaguars before CU Pro Day, yeah, I'm open to trading the number 2 pick that I'm going to use for Shedeur. Easily gave it away. Why? Because they had no intentions on getting Shedeur. And if that is the case, it can be proven that they lured him in. They owe him $46 million right now. Because you led all teams to believe you're interested in him. You led him to believe you're interested in him. You led the public to believe you're interested in him. But then when a team asks you to trade, and it so happens to be Travis Hunter, his teammate, and that wasn't the only team to ask you to trade. The Jacksonville Jaguars were not the only team that wanted the number 2 pick. That's the one you wanted to trade with because you felt like it fit. It fit the lie of everybody gassing up a jet and running down the CU Pro Day, pretending to be interested in Shedeur and Travis, and they weren't interested in neither one. They led both of them on, but less damage to Travis. So what happened to Shedeur in the draft was not just about being humiliated or devalued monetarily. It's why they keep holding him back in Cleveland. Every time you see this, which makes absolutely no sense to me, it's by jersey number. It should be by what? Completions. Progress, anything. The best person should be at the top. If Shedeur is 70%, where's the column for that? It's intentionally not on here. If it was, and you highlight completion percentage, then he's first. But psychologically, they're like, oh, we're going to put in my jersey number. That's not what you do with stats. I shouldn't have to look at this and figure out who's the best and do the math in my head. That's what stats are for. There should be a column right here. There's not. So they decided to put them by jersey number. Tell me something. What the hell is the NFL Combine for if all you going to do is ignore the talent? Why scout at these universities all year long? Why show up at CU's Pro Day in droves? Why show up at CU's first game? 31 NFL scouts and executives. New York Giants, why show up at all? If all you were going to do is defame him, you never talked about his talent once. Cleveland never talks about his talent either. When they put down Shedeur, They're putting down the human being, and he didn't even do anything. And all they had to go on was some speeding tickets, but they refused to discuss why his awareness was waning and what he endured with the draft, which tells you they're intentionally overlooking what happened to him in the draft. They didn't want to believe his father was sick, not just ill, fighting for his damn life. His son saw him with tubes in his nose. He's not even 25, dealing with everything he's had to deal with. It was abhorrent what happened in the draft. But my question is, what the hell is the NFL Combine for? Why are all these NFL teams going to these schools all year long talking about they scouting? Why is it that they have the Shrine Bowl? Why is it that they have the Senior Bowl? What the hell is the Combine for? What the hell is the top 30 visit that I'm interested in you for? What is all of these pro days at all of these universities around the country for if you're going to ignore the talent? And what the hell are you even talking about film for? Because you clearly not looking at it. The NFL draft in 2025, tossed to the wind. Combine performances, Senior Bowl performances, Shrine Bowl performances, hours and hours and countless hours of collegiate film, scouting, pro day, top 30 visit. Did I say combine performances? What the hell is all of that for? If all you're going to do is draft who you prefer. And now you are here, ladies and gentlemen, the preferences ain't working out. But see, there's consequences for accepting something you don't even deserve. You've been exposed, Jackson Dart, running up there to be the second quarterback. Emmanuel Acho trying to rub it in Deion Sanders Jr. face that they going to take Jackson Dart before they take Shedeur. Okay, that's on them. A first-round draft pick is expected to have an immediate impact. Jackson Dart can't have an immediate impact because he's not good. He was the 6th ranked quarterback. There were other people to take before you took him. So they let their old misconnection to the New York Giants do the thinking in the selection. This was about preference and not a paying for it. So you're trying to hold back a black quarterback with New York because they've never drafted a black starting quarterback and had one for an entire season to make an immediate impact. But now you got Russell Wilson and he going to have to start. And if they think they're going to put Russell out there and let him get a winning record and hand it over to Jackson Dart, they better think again. Because everybody's hip to the game now. See, you could get away with this before social media. You could get away with this before cameras. We don't live in the dark ages. Everybody see what's happening. Just like the reporters still trying to trash Shedeur. They are the same reporters that repeated what the New York Giants said. So they have a vested interest in Shedeur failing. But guess what? Their lies are standing out like a sore thumb slammed in a car door. It's falling on deaf ears. You had fans at the training camp session when Dylan was struggling, chanting, put Shedeur in. I don't know what the hell they think gonna happen when they get to the season because 2 million people bought jerseys and they gonna show up. So the voices are growing louder. We know they don't want Shedeur in Cleveland, but it's gonna be a hell to pay to cut him because you don't have no viable options. You got a part-time Joe Flacco and a struggling Dylan Gabriel that even though you gave him all the damn reps, he just getting worse and worse. Shedeur is the best quarterback they have. But what nobody wants to talk about is why in the hell don't you want him to start? I would love for a reporter to ask that. You could stop asking, is he getting first team reps? We don't even need them. We know they're going to try to use the lack of first team reps to hold him back. It ain't going to work because the rest of the guys are worse. So you're going to have to go with the stats or you're going to have to go with what the fans say. And Cleveland fans have been showing up in the comments under my videos, letting me know they root for multiple teams. Cleveland has always been problematic, and the fans will prevail. I'm sure hoping. I said, well, I pray that y'all go educate the rest of them. I think with this last set of numbers came out, I think Dylan visibly struggling without the numbers. You didn't need the numbers. He's visibly struggling. Here's the consequence. You holding back Shedeur and you pitting Dylan against Shedeur. You saying Shedeur is a 5th round QB, but he better than your 3rd round QB. See, your 3rd round QB is actually a late round QB. Dylan was never projected to go high. If he would have came out the year before, he was in college for 6 years for a reason. Somebody told me Shedeur was in college for 4 years, not 5. So Shedeur did in 4 years what Dylan couldn't do in 6. So what the hell would make Cleveland believe that he will be better than Shedeur? They didn't care. They knew he wasn't better than Shedeur because they pre-draft with him extensively. Why is it that Cleveland does not want Shedeur to start if he's more than capable, the best quarterback that they have? They pre-draft with him to be their franchise QB. Why is it they don't want him to start? That needs to be the damn question reporters are asking. Why is it you don't want him to start? Is it because you have never, and I mean ever, since the Browns joined the NFL in the late 1950s, drafted in the 1st round a black quarterback? The Browns have never, and I mean ever, had a black quarterback to be a starter long term. Deshaun Watson is the only person they could point to being a starter, and he hadn't even played more than 10 games in one damn season. Deshaun Watson and Joe Flacco got about the same record when it comes to playing and starting games. Flacco good for 8. The most Deshaun Watson seemingly could play was 8 in a season. So I went and looked at Deshaun Watson's injury since his career started in 2017 or whenever he got to the Texans. He was only injured once when he was with the Texans, but he was injured a lot in Cleveland. So much so, that's what kept him from excelling. So people are asking, is Kenny Pickett really hurt? People are speculating that the arm soreness that the Browns report of keeping Shedeur back is a lie. And now when I look at Deshaun Watson being frequently injured in Cleveland, but not in Houston, even after knee surgery. After knee surgery, he still wasn't hurt like that in Houston. So these injuries seem to be a lie. Maybe somebody needs to look into it. Use weaponizing injuries to hold players back. Because see, if the doctor says he can't play, then the player can't play. So it's not up to Deshaun. So when people, including Haslam, want to throw Deshaun Watson under the bus, we took a big swing and missed with Deshaun Watson. I sure hope he cleared that lie about Deshaun Watson, because going into the 2024 season, he had a winning record in Cleveland of 8-4. What is it now? 9-4, 95, and he got hurt. He has been injured a lot in Cleveland and once in Houston. Weaponizing injuries, rotating these quarterbacks, weaponizing instability, blaming the players, then wanting to say we haven't had a black quarterback because what? They don't have none available? Is that what you're going to say? You have one right in your midst that you pre-draft with at number 2 overall, $46 million worth of elite QB. And you don't want him either for $4 million. And you making Dylan look worse than a 3rd round pick. It's criminal to send Dylan, a true 3rd round pick, to compete against Shedeur in elite QB1. At this point, you have to ask who they're trying to make look bad. They claim they like Dylan, not from what I'm seeing. Because if you like Dylan, you wouldn't have me out here competing with the best quarterback coming out of college. Of course, Dylan is struggling. He was never a high round pick. He was the project. But they didn't even want him for anything except maybe draft capital, because they already said they're going to get somebody else. So Shedeur was supposed to be the guy. Then they traded the pick away to Jacksonville and got a first round pick for next year. Let me guess, he white? That's who you gonna go after? And it just proves it. Cleveland appears to have an issue with black starting quarterbacks leading the team. Cleveland appears to not want to win with Shedeur Sanders. Cleveland appears to be colluding against Shedeur Sanders. Cleveland has robbed Shedeur Sanders of $46 million after they led him on to be the number 2 pick in the first round, knowing full well they've never had a black quarterback drafted in the first round ever. It's time to remedy this situation. Going back to the draft, come on up to Cleveland. Somebody owes Shedeur for $46 million, and he don't need to wait 4 years to get it. Deshaun Watson got his money. I told you it wasn't a coincidence that Shedeur is in the same city with Deshaun. It's not a coincidence that RG3, after he got cheated in Washington, ended up in Cleveland. Hell, I need to go figure out how the hell Tyrod Taylor got there. Because we know he got his lung punctured, and they traded him out of San Diego after they punctured his lung, and the doctor still works there. Black quarterbacks are clearly not valued where Cleveland is concerned. And if Cleveland is taking their marching orders from the NFL, then okay. White quarterbacks might get devalued. Hell, they might get lied to. But one thing about it, they get overpaid. So now we have Tyler Shaw overpaid. We have Jackson Dart overpaid. Neither are an immediate impact. And somebody had the audacity to say Shedeur should go to New Orleans. To hell with the Saints. And I'm a NOLA girl. Hell no. You made your bed, now you lie in it. You didn't want him because he black in the first round. So go find somebody else to do it. See, that's the problem. They kept him out the first round. Every team he met with needed a quarterback in the first round, but they didn't want to pay Shedeur $40-some odd million. You mad because he was already rich? They all coming out of college rich. That's not it, though. The bottom feeder teams that's always picking first and ruining talent all seem to have a problem with black quarterbacks. The teams that have moved past racial bias, like the Washington Commanders, that's where Robert Griffin III came from. That's the team that cheated him out of $16 million. Before going to Cleveland. They got their act together. And you see how far they went last year. See, some of these teams at the bottom, and we're going to see if the Titans truly got together, but they started off on the wrong foot. They needed a quarterback, but didn't want their pick either. Andrew Berry at the time during the draft looked like a hero for drafting Shedeur in the face of the defamation coming out of New York by saying, yeah, we don't have a problem with Coach Prime. But he seemed to be pretending along the way, reeling somebody in, a young man, a young black man that looked just like him. Maybe that's why he got the job. So he could do the heavy lifting, the dirty work of reeling Shedeur in, making him believe he was going to be the franchise QB, something they've never had at number 2 for a black quarterback or in the first round, period. Knowing they've never even had a black starting quarterback for a majority of the season. But then you all of a sudden gonna get Shedeur. And then you basically sell the pick you're gonna use to get him at number 2 before you go to CU Pro Day, and all y'all went down there pretending, which means you wanted him to still believe you was gonna get him. But you had already made your decision. The owner can't get fired, but Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski can. And they both feel like they protected because they doing the owner's bidding. Well, we're going to see who cut whose throat. Because as pressure mounts, as Cleveland is becoming more and more obvious to people not paying attention to Cleveland 24/7, non-NFL fans, everybody's starting to feel like this is deja vu with the draft. Y'all doing everything y'all can to hold this young man back. Wait a minute. Y'all have never had a black quarterback in the first round. Wait a minute. Y'all have never had a black starting quarterback. Wait a minute. Y'all don't want to win with a black quarterback. That's not going to come and go without a consequence. They held Shedeur back so Dylan could get better, and it didn't work. So what they gonna do now? Trade Shedeur, like I said they would. There's no way in hell they're gonna go through the season and elevate Shedeur behind Flacco, in front of Dylan and Pickett. Even though they not good, they both struggling. Shedeur is better than Pickett. That means he should be QB2. Ain't no way in the hell they gonna do that without surrendering to the bullshit that they did in the draft. They don't want people to know. They don't want to win with Shedeur because he's black. They don't want people to know their history, that they not friendly when it comes to black quarterbacks. They don't want people to know the truth, which is why nobody's asking it. People have been asking, why don't you trade him? Because they can't. Phones should be jumping off the hook for Shedeur. Just like teams should have been jumping over themselves, but they get him. They made sure could nobody get him in the first round because they took him off the board. They locked him out. And they had his phone number and gave it away to be used in a humiliating prank in front of 7 million people, but they didn't bother to tell him, we're not going to move forward with you, Shedeur. So it was intentional. The collusion, the defamation, the humiliation. All of it was intentional. Which is why you don't hear reporters saying, well, Shedeur's good. Why don't y'all just start with him? You heard what the owner said. If you would have told me we was going to draft Shedeur leaving Friday night, which was day 2, going into day 3, I would have said, nah. I guess he said to hell with Trump, huh? I guess he didn't think that prank was going to have any impact, huh? It did. It did. Wouldn't surprise me if some lawyers decided, hey, y'all might want to go ahead and get Shedeur. This is going to turn into a thing. And it has. Cleveland has turned it into a thing because they continued with the rules. Oh, he's not a good quarterback. Oh, he's a pocket passer. What the hell is Joe Flacco? What the hell is Kenny Pickett? And Shedeur is not a pure pocket passer. You can see out there, just like you can see at CU, that he uses his legs. He might not be classified as Lamar Jackson, but nobody else is other than Milroe, and they think they got him buried on the depth chart for 2 years. So it's not about being a dual threat or a pocket passer. They will say anything. The Cleveland Browns are fighting tooth and nail to suppress Shedeur Sanders in the media, to make him look inept, unqualified, talking about he's far behind when we can see with our own eyes before we even do any math that he's the best person out there. Why is it so important he don't start? No, better yet, why is it so important you don't start with him? What's at stake if you play with Shedeur at QB1? The owner going to be in his feelings because he never had a black starting quarterback play a majority of the season, or the whole damn franchise and organization have never had a first-round draft pick? See, they're going to face questions. So if you could start Shedeur because other people are injured, then you could have drafted Shedeur in your first pick, like you pretended to do. So y'all locked him out of the first round and took him off the board so you could pigeonhole him to a 5th round pick, and y'all foolishly thought it would work. These people foolishly thought that the talent would not show up in Cleveland for Shedeur. That if they said he was a 5th round pick, if they weaponized, which they did, weaponized the 5th round, put him in the 5th round, that they would get away with all season long the lie, he's not that good. Bullshit. Everybody's talking about this. But I want the question to be asked. Why is it if Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback they have, why will he not be named the starter when they pre-draft him to be their franchise QB? You can't say he's a pocket passer because so is Flacco. So that's some bullshit. Somebody needs to ask the question. We finally got somebody to ask about the reps. So we done moved past that. He's the best QB. He won the competition. I don't care how you list this shit here. 7 of 10 is 70%. Dylan's numbers are what? 21, 23, 31%. That's atrocious. But he's a third round QB. That's what you can expect from a third round QB. So they set Dylan up by making him compete with somebody that they were going to make their franchise QB. Do you know how heinous that is? Do you know how ignorant it is to think that if I get Dylan more reps, Shedeur will not get better? How you gonna hold Shedeur back? When practice is over, he gonna be out there with a football in his hand. That's ignorant. That's short-sighted. And that's who y'all dealing with. I have somewhat moved on from these people mentally. I don't look at what they talking about no more. I don't care if they lying or telling the truth, because when I see the truth for myself, I don't need to hear nothing else from you. Their fans seem to be starting to get on the bandwagon and hold their team accountable. I wish them well. My advice for the Cleveland Browns fans is I'm going to suggest y'all get in touch with the Green Bay Packers fans and y'all learn from them how to wrestle this team from your owner and have the team to go to public ownership. You need to adopt the same ownership that the Green Bay Packers have, and you need to push your owner out. And one way to do that, take a page from the Carolina Panthers, because you see they got their shit together. Don't show up. Tickets went down to 45 cents in Carolina, and that stadium was damn near empty. You ain't going to convince everybody, but y'all need to get together and get that team from current ownership. Any owner that weaponizes the rounds in the draft and intentionally devalues a player to avoid drafting him in the first round because he's black and you don't want to win with a black QB. You don't want a black QB to lead your team long term to victory, should be forced to sell. But until that happens, the fans need to get together and make that happen. Don't show up. It's time for a remedy. We all know Shedeur Sanders have a Cleveland Browns problem. We all know Cleveland is unstable. Instability is the rule of the day when it comes to quarterbacks. But when it comes to black quarterbacks, that's where we get into emotional abuse. That's when we get into discrimination, devaluation, not paying them properly, cutting and trading them and passing them around because you don't want a black quarterback to lead your team. It's time to start asking the real questions. Stop dancing around the issue. Yes, he's being held back because of bias. Ask them why. Ask them what kind of bias. Because his father hasn't shown up there. So what they said in the draft is a lie. What you should see is they all working together. Not just the NFL, not just Cleveland, not just local media, not just national media. The other 31 teams too. So where is it that he could go and get a fair chance? Because it's not Cleveland. I'm tired of seeing them play with this young man, and they've done it to so many others that they're on autopilot. What they've done to Shedeur, they've already done to Vince Young. Tennessee didn't want Vince Young. Best quarterback came out of college. Some people say he's still the best quarterback. They want to sit him down to Tennessee. He's the ultimate dual threat of that era. And they want to break him into a pocket passer. And now they want to devalue Shedeur because he's a pocket passer. And they want to bench Milroe for 2 years because he's a dual threat comparable to Lamar Jackson and Michael Vick. Whatever lie fits is the lie that they tell. It's time to hold the Cleveland Browns accountable. This is not just about Shedeur Sanders starting. This is about number 2 overall pick money, $46 million, fully guaranteed, paid up front. Because that's what Cleveland owes Shedeur for pre-drafting with him extensively, seemingly under false pretenses. You want to talk about it? We can talk about it in court. Let me see what y'all saying. Hey, everybody. I'll repurchase his jersey when he is on a team that respects him and values his talent. Yeah, I just want to see what team that's going to be. I agree with you, but I don't know what team that's going to be because, baby, they all in on it. Blue Moon, how you doing? How you doing? Niecy girl, how you doing? Hey, Gracie, how you doing? Tina, how you doing? Hey, Jerry, how you doing? Let's pray and wait with expectancy. God, good results follow good vibes. God can open a door and Shedeur Sanders could start every game for Cleveland for $4 million. That's called lightning in a bottle. They do that intentionally. This is not all happenstance. Lying about who he is, having him to be evaluated for years, watching film, asking him not to work out at the Shrine Bowl, blaming him because he didn't go to the Senior Bowl, pissed with him because he didn't go to the Combine. He's still the best quarterback coming out of college, and now he the best quarterback on the Browns roster. This is about money at this point. He could get the starting job while they'll be laughing in the background that he went in a Super Bowl for $4 million. So this is about money at this point. We know he's the best quarterback, so they need to pay up. And I'm not saying they're going to do it, but that's what needs to be done. They'll do it with some pressure, maybe from the courts, maybe from somewhere else. Hell, God above, because God is the reason Shedeur is still in Cleveland. They thought they were going to cut Shedeur after mandatory camp, but he was the best one. Let me see him cut him now. People claim he's not going to make the roster. They're not going to be able to cut Shedeur without a fight. And if he's going to be in Cleveland, it's going to be a long season. It's not just about starting. It's about being robbed of $46 million, of being led to believe you're going to be our number 2 pick under false pretenses, luring him. That's fraud. And you think you're going to hit Dylan, who you know is a true. You think they don't know Dylan is worse than Shedeur? They know Dylan was a true 3rd round. They know that. They the ones drafted him. They know Shedeur was an elite QB1. They know that too. They pre-drafted with him extensively. So pitting Shedeur, who's good to go now, an immediate impact in NFL against a developmental project, somebody you never thought would be a backup and you thought maybe 3rd string, pitting him against Shedeur, you knew he was going to lose. And I told y'all all of this could be a ruse so they can put him out there for $4 million. And you're not going to argue about that because you're so happy that he out there that you forgot that they robbed him. I did not. A lot of people did not. If you took him off, if you locked him out of the 1st round and took him off the board and nobody else could get him, and he ended up with the team that pre-drafted him extensively for $4 million instead of 46, and he ended up the best person out there, and the fans and everybody else pressure for them to start him. Well, that's a win for them. We didn't want him, but y'all told us to do it. Well, when he gonna get his money? Because that's where we are. We done with the starting. I don't give a damn if he start or not. You owe him $46 million because you seemingly pre-draft with him on the false pretenses. Look at the history of the organization. Look at where they were last year. This is not about starting anymore. We passed that. This is about the money that they robbed him of. That is also humiliating, by the way. That was just another way to humiliate him. It wasn't about just pushing him down. It was about picking his pockets. They need to pay him. They know he's the best, so they need to pay him. Everybody sees it. They need to pay him. In the thick of things is when the breakthrough happens. Facts. When people start getting weary, it is when God shows up. So trials before the breakthrough. Yep. There's a commonality in all those QBs that are struggling. Yep, there sure is. They all were paid more than Shedeur, and he's better than every last one of them. They all were analyzed as being later round picks. Jackson Dart was number 40 at the earliest, the 2nd round. Tyler Shaw was the 8th ranked QB in the whole damn draft. Dylan Gabriel went from being undrafted. He probably should have been a 5th-round pick. He actually is the 5th-round pick when you look at it. And they paid all of them more than Shedeur. That needs to be remedied. That's what we are in this fight. They gonna do what they gonna do. Guy gonna do what he gonna do. And Shedeur is still there because of God. If the doors swing open, it's because that's what's best for Shedeur. But at some point, the situation got to be remedied. There has been no remedy yet. We have moved past the draft, and you seeing the same thing happen in Cleveland because the draft itself is where the root of the problem is, and it needs to be remedied. And it's not about starting. It's about being compensated at the number 2 pick overall, which he was lured to believing that he was going to be under false pretenses. That's the fight going forward, because I don't care if he start or not. If they don't have an O-line, it don't matter. You don't want to see that. Believe me. Shadeur ain't going to fail, and they know that. And nobody's angry. We calling out the truth here. People are talking about he should start. I'm like, that ain't the argument, because he could start. I said it. This could all be a ruse so they can put him out there for their original intent. When you lock somebody out of the first round, you don't want to pay them first round money. When you take them off the board, you want them to fall really far down so you don't have to pay them much at all. I told you what I believe it was Mike Florio said in the article, right? That Shedeur Sanders should have had an agent because the grown QB wanted his full pie. And what he ended up with was an uncooked Pop-Tart. They made it about the money to humiliate him. So it's not about being angry. It is passion. I'll tell you that. It's about seeing a remedy and not losing sight of what's really happening here. That if he was used, the pre-draft process was used to lure him under false pretenses. They told everybody publicly they were interested in him. They did that for a reason. They took him off the board for a reason. They locked him out of the first round for a reason. And they made fun of how much money he made for a reason. This is about the money. The fight doesn't end if he get out there and start. That's what they want. It's called lightning in a bottle. You can't lose sight of what the real problem is here. So it's not about being angry. It's about being honest. And that's what we're not getting from people. It's not about Shedeur shining. It's about Shedeur being fairly compensated after being lured under false pretenses. See, a lot of people keep saying Shedeur gonna shine. That's not what we're talking about. Nobody that knows who Shedeur is doubted that he was going to shine. What people were upset about is they were lying about his character in the draft, and they were lying about his skills in Cleveland. And at the end of the day, whether he starts or not, he was robbed of $46 million. That is life-changing money. They made fun of that. That's how you know that that's what this is about. This is something that has to be remedied, and it needs to come from Cleveland. Why you think Shedeur is in Cleveland? It's not a coincidence he ended up in Cleveland. He wasn't on the board. Nobody could get him, but he lands magically in Cleveland with the people that led him to believe we're going to pay you $46 million. This situation gets uglier and uglier and criminal the more you learn about the Cleveland Browns, the NFL black quarterbacks. Go read Robert Griffin's story and see what Washington did to him to keep him from making $16 million. So it's not about him shining. We know who he is. See you, aunties. Welcome. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us tonight. Y'all make the See You aunties feel welcome, please. Amber said Colorado was calling that out earlier. Yeah, that's why people were so hurt. People were hurt because you could see that they set out to humiliate him. They know how many times the scouts from the NFL been out there. Hell, we do too, to a certain extent. That's why everybody was so hurt. I said the same thing about the University of Texas and Vince Young. I said, I know it hurt their soul for their star player to go to the NFL and be treated like trash, to be lured into believing that they appreciated him with the owner giving him, Vince Young, his phone number. But the owner allowed Jeff Fisher and the OC to break this kid down. They know these kids young. The difference between Vince Young and Shedeur Sanders is Coach Prime. Vince Young didn't have that. I read his story that he wrote. We read that on here. If you haven't seen that video, go through the live streams. Go through the live streams. His name is in the title. Search for it. His story is hard. And because his life was hard for so long, I don't even think he knew he was being discriminated against at the time. And then he ends up back at UT. He's still a coach for UT. He never had problems before the Texans or the Titans. He don't have no problems now. He with the same woman now that he was with in college. He was a good one. And they broke him. Trashed his skill set. That's negligence. And it's not new. I told y'all, if they get away with this shit, they're going to do it to somebody else. This got to stop right here. This has to stop right here. It happened in front of 7 million people for a reason. They thought it was going to be fun. But there's consequences to people finding out that you've been abusing somebody and people that look like them. The whole truth is coming out. I told you Shedeur going to be right there in Cleveland until the truth come out. And I think we on the last go round with realizing that this wasn't just the NFL. We learned that he wasn't the owner's pick. We also learned recently that they lied. They made him think when they came to see you Pro Day that they were still interested in him and that they wanted to get Travis too. None of that was true. They had already made their decision at the owners' meeting. And it was easy for them to part ways with their franchise QB. So part of the reason they kicking him is because they guilty. They didn't think he was going to end up there. And if so, it was going to be an undrafted free agent and nobody would say anything about an undrafted free agent. Or so that's what we think. Because they benched Terrell Pryor and put an undrafted free agent in front of him. They grabbed Joe Flacco off the practice squad in 2023. But he wasn't there in 2024. But he's back in 2025. So block who? While two brown-skinned people fight for third and fourth place, sliding into first and second, or two white QBs, one part-time and the other one is not good. But that's okay because that's just what we want. Just like the other two QBs in the draft, Jackson Dart and Tyler Shaw. How's that working out? Okay, then Flacco and Pickett going to be the same way. Asante Samuel said it. When you try to suppress the best, something else going to shake so that the best rises. I paraphrase, but that's the truth. And that's what you're seeing. But I don't want us to get lost on this is just about him starting and we move on. No, this is bigger than that. This is about black quarterbacks. The NFL's disdain for black starting quarterbacks, black quarterbacks in general, and how badly they discriminate against them in the draft. And it's not just about being pushed down and being QB1 or QB2. This is about money. So that fight has to continue. And I just want people to know they all in on it. So I don't know what team he could go to. I said Dallas was the only one. So I don't want people. I heard people say he should go to Detroit. Did Detroit try to draft him? Okay, because they couldn't. Shedeur has brand power. and is the better athlete. We know it. However, they wasted 250 million on Deshaun Watson, and now they wasted 40 million on Dylan. I don't know that they wasted 40 million on Dylan, but they didn't waste 250 million on Deshaun Watson. They gave Deshaun Watson his money back, just like they're gonna give Shedeur his money back. I told you is the reason they own the same team. Do your research on their black quarterbacks. They all came from scandal somewhere, or being held back at another team, or being passed around from teams. I told y'all the NFL compared Shedeur Sanders to Geno Smith. That's not true. Just like it's not true that Pat Schumer compared Shedeur Sanders in personality to Daniel Jones. That's doing him a disservice. The NFL was using code speak for we going to pass him around from year to year till we get to year 4. Then we're going to cut him. It was already said after the draft, his career in the NFL going to be short because that's the plan. When they say the NFL does not want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders now, plural, timing, they not playing. They've already done it to the others. He needs to know that that's where he is. It has nothing to do with your father. It has everything to do with you being a black quarterback. Shiloh's last name is Sanders, and you don't see nobody stepping on him. In fact, his coach came out and says he has a chance to make the roster. You hear anybody say that about Shedeur? Cleveland does not want to win with Shedeur because he's black. Let that sink in. That means it's nothing Shedeur can do. All Shedeur needs to do is just go out there and play for God every day. Because that's the reason he's still there. That's the reason he got drafted. That's the reason he's still there. Something is about to shake. And he going to either be forced out of there, or they're going to have to let him rise naturally. And they're going to have to stop holding it back because we're talking about it. I talk about things. It takes other people a week to get there. They're going to get there. I'm serious. People need to start asking Cleveland. If he's the best quarterback, why don't you want him to be your QB1? Just ask the question. Praying for nephew and his mental, that's it. I mean, you have to do that, right? And I remind people, when you pray for somebody, God gonna use you in the solution. And don't forget, faith without works is dead. Sweetie said he gonna have to sue the NFL. As an employee, it would never work. It would never work. I should never say never, but not with the current situation they have with the NFL Players Association. They got to find somebody they could trust not to collude against the players. I don't even know if they have that in place yet. It's up. This is for the fans to do. The fans did it in Carolina. The fans were the difference in Washington. The fans need to be the difference for Shedeur. The NFL Combine is used to devalue NFL prospects and reduce the amount of money that they should be paid. The teams have tape on all of his players, right, Roger? And guess what? They have tape on Tyler Shaw, and I don't think his combine was good. They had tape on Jackson Dart. They didn't care about none of it. They tossed it all to the wind. But Shedeur Sanders' skill set matters because he's black, and they're looking for a reason to hold him back. See, if people just speak out about it and tell the truth, it mattered when ESPN said they don't want to win with Shedeur. It's due because they're biased. Nobody said anything about Coach Prime. Everybody knew what he meant. Y'all keep saying, how does the Cleveland fans keep showing up? I don't know, because they see what happens to their black quarterbacks. Again, I say they must be busy. I don't know. It didn't take me a second to just read it. This is a pattern of behavior in Cleveland towards black quarterbacks, holding them back. They do not want what they have never had. A black elite QB1 long-term starter. They know Shedeur would be that, which tells you when they pre-drafted him as their franchise, which is long-term QB1 starter, it was under false pretenses because they wasn't finna be different this year. Are they different right now? No. No. Hold on one second. So it just depends. All right, excuse me, it just depends. So, it just kind of depends on what people are thinking about. And to me, What they should be thinking about is not just should he start. Of course he should start. I feel like we know that, so we can move on. That's not a drum that needs to be beat. The drum that needs to be beat is there needs to be a remedy for the NFL draft, which is the root of the problem in Cleveland. And Shedeur wasn't devalued for the sake of devaluing him. He was robbed for the sake of robbing him. This was intentional, which is why they made fun of the little money that he's making. There needs to be consequences for that. And it needs to come from the fans. I think that's the message. When they file a grievance with the Players Association, they don't get nowhere. But there does seem to be change when it comes to the fans. And Cleveland fans need to start looking around the league and see what happens when teams refuse to put a winning strategy in place. Shadeur's ROI is exponential because they invested only $2 million in him. His salary is $4.6 million or $4 million. So they ain't invest nothing yet because he ain't got paid. That's another thing. They don't even get paid to the first game check. So they working for free. And if he get paid, if he get cut before the first game, guess what he not going to get from Cleveland? A game check. So does that make sense to you now when we speak in dollars and cents? The players don't get paid until the first game check. What you have heard people say is that Shedeur will be cut before the first game, which means he will not get a game check from Cleveland, which meant all of his work in Cleveland, it wasn't in vain in terms of his career, but they just used him as a camp body. That's why there was no strategy for him to accelerate. That's why the competition wasn't real. I told y'all this is about money. These guys don't get paid until the first game check. So a lot of them are camp bodies. And to reduce Shedeur Sanders, who they pre-draft with as their franchise QB, number 2 overall, to a camp body is criminal. That means you lured him under false pretenses because he's exactly who he was when you pre-draft with him. That's what I mean by this is about money. That's a slap in the face. If I was a undrafted free agent and I get cut, oh well, I tried. This was the franchise QB. There's no reason he should get cut. That was before he's proven to be the best. So how you going to cut him now? That's a problem. This is about money. Undisputed facts. Yep, it is. NFL gentrification. I mean, okay. I don't know how you see that. I see that as the reverse, but okay. It said they don't have a response once you lay everything out. That's right. And if you notice, I said this, the media is intentionally not asking real questions. They're not asking the questions that need to be asked. They're tiptoeing around Cleveland because they know for a fact what the deal is. When people run out here and tell you in unison, parroting the same, they're going to trade Shedeur before week 1, of course they will, so they don't have to pay him. Because they mean he a camp body. That's another way of making him feel worthless and devalued. And then who going to get him? The next team, and they're going to do the same thing? Just put him on the bench for the season, too late for you to start. And next year you're going to be draft capital, and I'm going to send you to your next team, and I'm going to make you compete, and I'm going to hold you back, and I'm going to do the same thing. It happened to Vince Young. It happened to Vince Young when he finally got the hell out of Tennessee after they fired the coach for wrongdoing. After they fired Jeff Fisher, I think Vince Young thought he was free. They cut him, and he went from team and got cut. And I think he was on the same team with Michael Vick. Trade and cut 4 years. Deshaun Kaiser, same thing. Let him go 0-15 in Cleveland so they could justify trading him next year. Robert Griffin III came from Washington after they cheated him to Cleveland. He was there 1 year. Shedeur, maybe 1 year. Or his next team, a whole season. They're treating them like chattel, all the while reducing their career earnings. They're being passed around because they have contracts for 1, 2, 3, or 4 years. They're treating them like they don't value them because they don't. And I'm telling y'all, as good as Shedeur is, they're treating him the same way because they weren't playing when they said the NFL does not want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders now, per Mel Kiper Jr. Everything else after that, you think the owner of the Browns didn't know that? That came from an NFL insider. If the NFL insider says that, then that's what the owners want. That's why it wasn't just Jackson Dart in place of Shedeur. It was Tyler Shaw in place of Milroe too. Quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders now. The 2025 draft. That's why the first 3 quarterbacks that come out next year or 4 are white. They already setting it up in college. But they want that stadium done. They already got the money. They already broke ground. That stadium is a done deal because there are people in Ohio who feel like that is for all of Ohio and not Cleveland, which is why it is not in Cleveland. There's land that they could have bought in Cleveland around that stadium and created the same thing. They don't want to be in Cleveland. I looked at the demographics of Cleveland. 42% black. It's probably 52, just like New Orleans. They don't want that. That's why the Saints don't care what they do to their fan base either. That's why the fans need to stay home because these teams don't respect the fans. So the stadium is already, they already broke ground on that. And the fact that Cleveland could even get something like that after being horrendous for decades tells you it's not about winning. And that's exactly why there's the race for all of these teams to run out and get the star in a city near you so they don't have to care about the sport of football. That's why they'd rather have Haitian players and African players that are true immigrants. Because they know that that community, that population, is just going to take what they're handed. They don't expect a fight. But see, here's the problem. You get enough Haitians and enough Africans, they're going to fight back too when they have enough people to fight with. But they don't think that that's the case because they don't see African Americans fighting. So why the push to get rid of the African American players? I don't know. I guess we always holding out. Michael Parsons, Terry in Washington, don't know his name. This is about finding players you can control. And even the ones you can control get done dirty. Warren Moon, clearly they could have controlled him. He thought Shedeur should have been different. I'm like, did it work for you? No, it didn't. It did not. This is about money. The more black players I have in the first round, year over year over year, getting first round money, which is the most money, it means that the top 10 will eventually be black on the money list. Dak is already at the top. So is Pat Mahomes. Now you're going to get Josh Allen in there. Now you got Brock Purdy in there. Then you get Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, and it goes down from there. If I put Caleb Williams, CJ Stroud, Shedeur Sanders on the list, and then next year say Caden Salter, Lenore Sellers, it's about money. The money list. So Cleveland should have never been allowed to get another stadium. They don't care about winning, and if they don't care about winning now, when they get that new stadium that comes with that entertainment complex, they will not care about winning. It's going to be just like Dallas. They actually copied what Dallas has. It's just fit for Cleveland and called something else. It's fit for Ohio. I'm like, don't they have a Cincinnati team in Ohio? How is it that Cleveland gets all of this? What about Cincinnati? But I can't get into Cincinnati politics. I don't live there. But it's a real question. Cleveland can't hold back the Golden Award winner. Nope, they can't. But they did succeed in the draft. The fans will put enough pressure on the Browns to get Shedeur on the field. Right. And who gonna put enough pressure on the Browns and NFL to get Shedeur his money so he can have his full pie? Or as they said, so the grown QB can have his full pie. Yep, Shedeur told Tony Grossi he was good. So people don't know what to believe in terms of the shoulder. I said they must be getting him ready for a trade. If they said they're going to trade somebody before week 1, and I don't think it's Pickett, I think Pickett is considered future draft capital. And again, I don't know what that's going to mount them. But Shedeur is not somebody they're going to be able to easily move. Not just because of jersey sales, because that benefits Shedeur too. And every standard, every NFL player that has a jersey gets a cut of the jerseys. That's standard operating procedure for the NFL. Nobody knows what the percent is. That's why people guesstimated 12 to 15%. Hell, it could be 0.5% because we don't know. People were just guessing. It hasn't been revealed what the percentage is. But that goes for Travis. That goes for Abdul Carter, Cam Ward, and everybody else. But Shedeur sold the most jerseys. But they don't care about that. That money goes to all 32 teams. They should care about that. But it is still more important to try to have 17 to 32. But the problem is, people pointed out, you got Spencer Rattler now, the guy in New Orleans. And then they want to talk about Shedeur. Spencer Rattler was there last year. Let him do it. Don't you already have him on your roster? Then okay. Then let him be the guy. What's wrong with Spencer Rattler being the guy in New Orleans? What's wrong with Shedeur Sanders being the guy in Cleveland? What was so wrong with Cam Ward being the guy in Tennessee that they wanted to trade that pick? What's wrong with anybody that's black being the guy in New York? Russell Wilson. They say it's going to be him. We going to see. We going to see. Because it's just lip service. A lot of times it's just lip service. Don't listen to what they say. Look at what they do. 12 better get his own doctors. He can't trust the Browns. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I just think he's going to get traded. Like I said, the first game check, he would get paid from Cleveland if he's still on the roster. So he would get a game check from Cleveland. If they cut him, I think the reason they said the first game, well, yeah, it's about the money. But 2, remember this. If he gets cut before the first game, it's too late for him to go to another team and rally for QB1. He would have to get in the back of the line. They would still label him a 4th straight QB or a 5th round. So if when he gets to another team, let's say they have 3 QBs, he would automatically be the 4th QB. They would say, yeah, it's too late for you to learn the playbook, or go ahead and learn it. Maybe you could get ready, and they'll never put him out there. They might put him out there one game towards the end. It's strategic. And I don't think they want him on the roster because they know they have a fight on their hands. They know he's better than Dillon. The only way to keep Shedeur from looking better than Dillon in Cleveland is to make sure Shedeur is not available to play in Cleveland. However, take that however you want to. They're not trying to answer any questions about, and they said everybody's watching this week. They got this preseason game, and some people thought Coach Prime shouldn't have said what he said. And I'm like, that's not what he said. So they were talking about what Coach Prime was talking to Asante Samuels, and he said Shedeur told him, Shedeur told Coach Prime, I'm gonna just go ahead and do this work. And the preseason coming, they're gonna have to play me. Rookies play in the preseason. The context was, if I work hard and I show up, they're gonna have a hard time not playing me. That's what he was saying. So they were like, well, maybe if Coach Prime didn't say that, they wouldn't have refused him reps. I'm like, when the hell did he get the reps in the first place? He never had the reps. They didn't take them away. They never existed. They never existed because they don't even want anybody to get the thought that we're going to let him ball out at QB1. We're not interested in him at QB1, which is why the question should be from reporters to Cleveland, why not? If you pre-draft with him, since you pre-draft with him as your franchise QB, why is it Shedeur Sanders cannot be your QB1 in Cleveland right now? That's the question. They lucky ain't on the ground, because that's all I want to know. I'm not even a reporter, but damn it, that's the question to be asked. Shedeur was throwing the heck out of that ball. Yeah, he was. He was, but nobody knows. I saw him in the clip when somebody was interviewing. He was in the background, but I mean, they said soreness. They didn't say it was broken or sprained. So, I take that how you want to. The dog pound calling out the Browns. Y'all calling out Stefanski, Haslam, and the GM Barry after Dylan Gabriel horrible performance. That's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen. And we need the media to come on back with it. So, hey, how you doing? Reverend Nelson, how you doing? It says Shedeur should be a free agent, if not on the boards. I mean, maybe that was the whole point. That's where he was headed. What did Barry say on day 3? We waiting to see how low he go. If you knew he was going to go lower, you wouldn't have traded 2 picks with a sense of urgency. You would have just waited till he got to Mr. Irrelevant. That's how you know he was forced to draft him. Somebody lit a fire under them. I'm waiting for it to happen again, just maybe from a different source. Dylan Gabriel was never what they were asking him to be. Right. Dylan Gabriel was supposed to be 3rd string. He was supposed to be. So Deshaun is out. Dylan Gabriel was supposed to be, they got Pickett first. They know Flacco is part-time. Dylan was going to be 3rd. Shedeur should have been QB1. He still should be QB1 because common sense says if you wanted to hire somebody for $46 million and you couldn't afford it, or he got taken off the board, when he became available, or you, the only person allowed to get him at $4 million, you should be happy. So either we are about to see a miraculous 360 from Cleveland, and that means he was lightning in a bottle, and they owe him some serious money, or they gonna cut him before the first game check is due, and he was just a camp body, which means they're continuing to devalue his skill set and show him that you don't mean anything to us, which is humiliating. They picked Dylan over Shedeur as one of the Heisman finalists. Right. And they snubbed Shedeur in college, and people knew it. And then again, doing the NFL draft on the same team seems fishy to me. I mean, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if that's where they took their cues from, because I do believe it happened to make sure. See, if Shedeur was on the stage with Travis, I'm not talking about who won. I'm talking about positioning. If Shedeur was on the Heisman stage instead of Dylan, so Shedeur, Travis, Cam, and who was it? Ashton Genty. First of all, that means all 4 of them black. I was paying attention to that back. I was like, wait, how many times has this happened? I said, it's going to be the first year all 4 Heisman candidates are black. I remember looking at that. I remember doing the research. And then when Shedeur said, don't worry about it, he knew they were trying to pit Travis against him. So when we get to the draft, they pit Travis against Shedeur when it comes to the number 2 pick in the money. Then they get to Cleveland. After they get Dylan, they use Dylan to block Shedeur on the roster, just like Dylan blocked Shedeur on the stage. And they, just like they tried to pit Travis and Shedeur with the Heisman, Shedeur took himself out the race. He can't take himself out. There was nothing he could do. So again, giving the pick away to Jacksonville and giving Shedeur not just Travis's money, but Travis's jersey, that was a message. Can you figure out what the message is? And there was nothing Shedeur could do about it. Just like it's nothing he could do about being blocked by Dylan, even though he's better than Dylan. They took him out due to arm soreness or whatever, because it's likely, highly likely, he's going to be traded before they have to pay him for game 1. And he's around to make an impact. And then the crowd and the media and everybody gets into it. So I think he's not playing because he's on his way out. Cleveland said he was their guy, just like the Giants. Right. And I knew the Giants was lying. See, at the time, I could call the Giants out because I did the research. I'm like, oh, hell no. And I noticed the media just kept with it. I'm like, well, how is it that the Browns are the ones reported to get him, but the media is talking about the Giants. I'm like, I know the media know the Giants history. And the fact that they never talked about it tells you that they knew it, but they intentionally evaded the topic. Just like from 2020 to 2024, they discussed with every draft all of the black players that were becoming the majority. They didn't have that conversation in the 2025 draft because they didn't want to talk about it. So just like they have two white quarterbacks drafted in the place of two black quarterbacks in the draft, 17 and 18, Shedeur Sanders and Jalen Milroe, in Cleveland, you got the same thing. Flacco and Pickett. They working overtime. Browns fighting tooth and nail, likely with the NFL support. The same people that gave out Shedeur Sanders' phone number to make sure that Shedeur don't get to QB1 because he's the most likely. Milroe, they think they got him buried. They handled him in college. Just like these quarterbacks coming out of college in 2026 forecasted to all be white in the top 4. They put Jackson Dart in front of Milroe. So they labeled him a developmental project from college. But after he had pro day and ran a 4.37, that went out the window. So they just didn't talk about him. They just basically ignored him. And now they think he buried on the depth chart for 2 years. His response was BTA, belt 2. So he quiet as a church mouse because he went through it in college. They tried it with Shedeur, but it really didn't work. It worked with the Heisman. But you couldn't do nothing about the awards and everything else. They could control the Heisman, but they couldn't control everything else. Hell, remember, they didn't even want Travis to win the Heisman at one point. They can't keep Shedeur out the game Friday. Yeah, that's what he means. That's what he means when he said to his dad, or when Coach Prime said to Asante, he's like, Dad, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to do this work. I'm going to ball out, basically. I'm paraphrasing. And they're going to have to play me. Somebody thought that meant Coach Prime was like, they're going to have to play him. I'm like, context. That's not what he said. I'm like, what he said was, if I do the work and I do well, then they're going to have to play me because he's right. With the numbers that he has, how are you not playing him? Fans are already chanting at training camp. Put in Shedeur when Dylan is struggling. What they think going to happen? Only the 2 of them are playing in the preseason games. Mary Cabot actually said before mandatory camp ended, you're going to see a lot of Dylan and Shedeur during the season. During preseason, but not during the regular season. Hell, you might wake up and they done traded both of them. You never know. You never know. 17 to 32, that's all it is. They are working overtime for that. The progressive teams got it going on. Right. That's why. See, DTR came in, I told y'all, injured out of UCLA last semester in college. When he got drafted, he was a 5th round pick because he was injured, just like the guy in Tennessee. He was also injured coming out of Tennessee. So both of those guys were 5th round picks. Because if you're coming out of college injured, nobody's expecting you to be an immediate impact in the 1st round. But Jackson Dart, Tyler Shaw, and was expected to be an immediate impact. Dylan is being pushed up the ladder because Shedeur is better than Pickett, which is number 2. And I don't want Shedeur to be number 2. So Dylan, you was going to be number 3, but I'm going to need you to get out here and be number 2. And it's failing. And it's making Dylan look bad. And I know it's making him feel bad because he like, I didn't sign up for all of this, but you took the money. So you did. You didn't know you didn't know this was going to happen. But this is what they did in college. It just proves they did the same thing. They keep using Dylan to block Shedeur, but it's failing. So they somewhere trying to figure out what to do. Everybody is wanting to see what they do this week. So they have practice tomorrow. Then they supposed to get ready to leave for Carolina. The game, I think, is Thursday. They're supposed to have 2 joint practices, which must be Tuesday and Wednesday. So they might be getting ready to hit the road. I'm sure they're flying Monday and Tuesday. And then they practice late Tuesday, maybe, I don't know, Tuesday and Wednesday, and play the game Thursday. They might be leaving tomorrow after practice. So everybody with common sense expects to see Shedeur play. Now, I also tell you that Mary Cabot also came out and said, in addition to You're going to see a lot of Dylan and Shedeur preseason, but not during the season. She also came out and said, DTR, the guy that is now in Philly behind Jalen Hurts, they swapped DTR for Pickett. They didn't develop DTR at all. So Mary Cabot said, well, DTR balled out in the regular season, in the preseason, but he wasn't good in the regular season. Again, they made him play against Baltimore. They had other quarterbacks, but they put in a fifth string developmental QB because he won some preseason games. Now, when you play preseason, first stringers are not playing. So they knew what they were doing when they put DTR out there to lose against Lamar Jackson. Because the second time they put in the person that should have been playing in the first place, Deshaun Watson. But they said he was injured. He'd been hella injured in Cleveland. Only injured once in Houston. And I think he was in Houston longer than he was in Cleveland. So that tells you something about injuries. It seemed like to me, and I'm going to be careful how I say this, it seems like they weaponize players being injured to exact certain consequences. That's all I'm saying. It looks questionable. It looks like they use injuries to take a player out the game, which might be why they fired their training staff so they don't tell, because they could have been threatening to tell. The NFL has blackballed Shedeur. Yep. People said that in the draft. They said, they doing him just as bad as they did Colin Kaepernick. He ain't even take a knee. To go to tell you, it's not even about that. Cleveland definitely made a reputation for themselves. Right. Definitely. Nobody was checking for Cleveland before Shedeur, and they're going to go back to irrelevancy afterwards. Watch what I tell you. I'm already done talking with, I used to watch their media. I'm good. I got to protect my peace. I'm like, everybody this week is going to be watching to see if Shadeur's plays, to see if they're going to try to hold Shedeur back, or they going to trade Shedeur before. That's all people want to see, what their next move is, because so far they playing checkers and God is playing chess. I just want to put it out there. And remember, Shedeur said he was growing in his spirituality. So he's further along than he probably thought he would be. And he needs to know this if he's going to be in this league, and he probably will be. You got to know that wherever you are, you stay there till God open the next door. If he opened the first one, he going to open the next one. You might not understand why this is happening, but stay from the outside looking in. It's so the truth can be exposed. That's how I see it, because that's what's happening. And they didn't expect this. Andrew's speech was free pillow talk to lull the fans to sleep. He was used to engage in these dastardly deeds against Shedeur, right, and other Black players. No Black offensive coordinators, but you have 9 Black GMs, the most the NFL has had. You don't even have 9 Black head coaches. So that means you want somebody to do the dirty work. And Andrew Berry has decided he wants to be the person that does it. What did you hear the owner say? That's Andrew Berry's pick. Everybody know that that's a lie, but that's who gonna get the blame for it. But he still got a job after giving away one of the most lucrative, fully guaranteed contracts. That's bullshit. He's the guy that they get to blame. I can't imagine interviewing for a job and they want to pay me. I don't care if you pay me $300 million. You're not gonna use me to cheat Black people. You're not gonna use me to cheat Black quarterbacks because you don't want to win with a Black quarterback. You're not going to use me to draft with Shedeur and reel him in and make him believe that, we want him and then I'm going to lie to him. No. It takes a special kind of person to be used that way. You can't trust nobody like that. That's why, to me, just being out of Cleveland is just the best scenario. But, it ain't up to me, so we're going to see. Gracie say, just call me the beggar. Can we get 110 likes? Oh, yes, please trade. Yep. Working free for Haslam's Cleveland Browns. Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's a camp body. So I want you to think about this. Only 4% of fifth round picks, 4% of 32 people, 4% of 32 in the fifth round make the team. They already thought they was going to cut him after mandatory care. But they couldn't cut nobody because he was the best. So now they think going into week 1, with Shedeur being the best, that they're gonna cut him. Well, let's see. If they hold him out for these preseason games, they're gonna cut him. Whether it's a trade, whether he clear waivers, but he gonna end up somewhere else. Hell, some people say it could be Pittsburgh. I was like, okay, nah, that's crazy. I could see it. You know why I could see Pittsburgh? Because they let Aaron Rodgers punk them. They let Aaron Rodgers punk them from getting Shedeur by saying, if you get Shedeur Sanders, forget about me. But then now his domestic violence charge comes out. And now he's like, oh, this is my last year. Why do you think it's his last year all of a sudden? Right. So what I'm saying is, with that revelation that he got to get out of there, people saying Will Howard is not ready. They're like, just go ahead and get Shedeur like you was going to get him. But is you going to give him his money? He needs to get his money. So that's where we are. This is about money. He out here working for free in the heat, being a camp body. That means they still treat him like a fourth string QB, a 5th round pick. He's far behind. Somebody reported the reason he didn't get no first team reps is because he's really, really far behind in learning. I'm like, get the hell out of here. Ain't nobody listening to you. And it turned out to be one of those reporters that was parroting what was coming out of the New York Giants organization. So they don't have no credibility no more. They have no clue how to evaluate talent. Right. And again, what was the question that I asked? What the hell is the combine for? What is the Shrine Bowl? What is the Senior Bowl for? Why are we sending scouts out to the school? What the hell are we doing pro days for at all these universities? What are we doing top 30 visits for? What are we using all of these stats for? Why are people watching film for hours and hours and hours to analyze, evaluate, and rank players to get to the draft? And I just want to get Jackson Dart because he went to Ole Miss, and Archie Manning and Eli Manning went to Ole Miss, and they played for the New York Giants. So that's what it's going to come down to. This is nothing to do with talent. And all those preference picks are failing. Even Dillon was a preference pick. When they pivoted from Shedeur, because before CU Pro Day, they were approached by Jacksonville and agreed that they were willing to move off of Shedeur. That easy. That's just like Tennessee Titans not wanting to use they pick for a quarterback that they desperately need. People said this class was weak. No, it wasn't. This class at the top had 3 black quarterbacks and nobody wanted it. Because the teams at the bottom consistently have a problem with black quarterback. The Giants, the Saints, the Browns, and the Titans. So one made it and the other 2 got pushed down. All right, y'all. So we're going to get ready to get out of here. Tomorrow, practice, we'll be back to see what they're talking about. I have a new segment. I just posted. Let me see if I can share it with y'all. I just posted the short version of the longer form videos. So I came out with something called Bay. And it's where love, sports, and relationships meet up. And this is where I've always talked about relationships in shorts. If you pay attention to the earlier shorts, I was talking about relationships. And somebody in the comments was like, you need to talk more about relationships. So I was like, you know what? I already started out that way. So let me just continue. So let me see if I can share the one post that I shared. And I already have a video lined up of a couple that I was pretty fond of. He's in the NFL and she's a great girlfriend. So let's see if I can share this with y'all. Let's see. I don't know if I can even do it that way. Oh, here it is. Okay, I found it. Okay, let me share. And if y'all dropping off, we appreciate y'all for hanging out. Hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. All right, so here we go. This is Bay. So take a listen. Oh, I got to take this off the screen and put this on the screen. All right. When things get tough, because you can't get no, see if y'all can hear it. Tougher than this. Thank you for watching Babe by What She Said Sports, where love, sports, and relationships meet up. All right, so it's going to be with somebody that you love, that is patient, that is kind, that is invested, that is committed, that's not looking for anything, that's not running away when things get tough, because you can't get no tougher than this. Thank you for watching Babe by What She Said Sports, where love, sports, and relationships meet up. All right. So I hope y'all could hear it. I don't know if thumbs up if you could hear it. I hope y'all could hear it. It was a snippet of the video I put together about Coach Prime and Carucci. They are on my list of couples to talk about, because there were some people who felt like it was bad for them to, that's just the word they use, bad for them to be in a relationship. People were putting out videos talking about they concerned about it. I'm like, why? She 40, she 37 going on 40. She gonna have gray hair just like he got gray hair, right? She's dealing with getting ready to have a change in life at approaching 40 as an actress. Instead of being the daughter or the sister, they're gonna start making her the mother or the auntie, because you know that's what happens, right? They're gonna start making her an auntie. So she's going through that. She has her own beauty care line called Rucci. She put out a beautiful Instagram post that she's inviting people to come to her wellness weekend. I'm like, and it looked like it's gonna be fabulous. I was like, wow, this looked really, really nice. But the point is, she was there for Coach Prime at a very dark time, right? I know he has Lauren. I know he has a sister. I know he has his kids. But this is a different type of love, right? This is a romantic partner who's choosing to stay around and be committed. She has a busy lifestyle. He has a busy lifestyle. But they still don't give me power couple. They give me Coach Prime is that guy, and that's his boo, and she's famous, and she's trying to get her wellness brand off the ground, and he fully supports her, and he trying to get Colorado to the next level. And in between time, you know what happens? Bladder cancer. She said we. So look, what people need to understand is when you get older, if you find somebody that truly likes you, that is willing to be there with you through your doctor's appointments, through your surgeries, that's willing to help you walk after you had to get a new bladder, that's willing to be with you when you have catheters and this and that and the other, that's willing to be there with for the we, then that's who you need to ride with. Because real is rare. And she don't have to do that. People like, she too young. I'm like, she made choices. She 37. It's probably worth it to be with somebody like him, who's probably one, generous, but we know he don't waste no money. Two, she got her own. Maybe she feel like, you know, he's settled in life, right? And he probably is supportive of her. When I saw her ad for her wellness weekend, it fit right into what you see from all the other Sanders children. All the Sanders children have branded, have marketed, whether it's the KFC, DeAndre with her white dress weekend. What was the daughter? She's with Dexcom for college athletes. When I saw Carucci, she fit right in. Somebody that's branded, has her own status. She understands the lifestyle, but she wants to be there for him. She had questions that she wanted to know what was next so she could understand. Because she probably going, if he got to go back and do something else, maybe she want to know what her schedule looked like so she could make time. Even one of the nurses said it. They asked him, did he want a cane when he was walking, and she was helping him. And the nurse said it. Well, she's better than the cane. That was a message. She willing to hold him up. He willing to hold her down. So don't be listening to people. Don't be listening to people when they telling you somebody shouldn't be with you. You know, if that person is willing to be with you through all of your surgeries, this, that, and the other, you know. So, you know, I hope y'all like it. You know, you'll see more videos. I think I have a playlist called Bay. So just check it out. And y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments when you see it. I appreciate it. I'm gonna get myself out of here. We'll be back tomorrow. I saw somebody say Dylan gonna be on the practice squad. One thing I'll say about this, it's highly likely because they say Deshaun Watson coming back next year. Deshaun Watson could have been back this year, but they already got reimbursed or paid or approved to be paid his salary. So they like, we could use that $46 million. So they had money to get Shedeur, and they made that clear. So it's not like they didn't get him because they didn't have the money. They colluded against him. It's a Colin Kaepernick situation. Yeah. Shaw looked like the 800 QB. Yeah, he and you know what's so sad though? You know what's so sad? Like, how does it the NFL, who's been around since 1920, right? All of these combines and skills evaluations and scouting and rankings. How is it that you think if you take the sixth and the eighth QB, who both are second and fourth round picks, respectively, that you think they could beat out the best QB ones? Why would you think that? Or maybe you didn't give a damn that they could lose. See, that's the message the fans not picking up on. Shedeur is better than Dylan, but you willing to lose instead of win with Shedeur. They know Shedeur is better than Dylan. The NFL been in the evaluation business for a long time. They know if you take, they would never take a quarterback who's black, ranked 8th, projected 4th round, and make him a QB1. Never. And not succeed? Hell no. So to me, you got to ask, what's really your goal? It means you're okay with losing. That's how desperate. That reeks desperation. That meant they had to pull out every stop, including the kitchen sink, to prevent 17-32 from happening in the draft, and they succeeded. Now it's time for it to happen in the season. We already got the next incoming class picked. Top 4 are white. We good there. Now I got to control 18 weeks of football. So far, they failing because the other guys aren't good. All the other white quarterbacks out there, why you didn't want Quinn Ewers? That don't make sense. Because he wasn't their preference. You see, that's what this is about. That's what fans need to know. What are you paying for? They're not going to win. It's supposed to be about competitive sports, but it's not. That's why somebody's suing about the way the NFL conducts business. Well, now somebody need to sue for how the Cleveland Browns conduct business. When people start suing these damn teams, that's when things will change. How the hell did Tyler Shaw get drafted that high? Dude played 7, 8 years of college ball and he was still bad. Right. Because he was their preference. And the preference is failing. I said it. Preference is not going to rise above talent. Preference is not going to rise. See, talent has to meet preparation. Talent just got to be prepared. Because you can be talented and don't do the work and you're going to fail too. Not as hard as somebody who's not good. But see, a lot of these people think because Caitlin Clark was, I guess you could say, propped up in year 1. She went 2-11. They were willing to lose 11 games for her to try to get it. Bo Nick struggled. They let him struggle. Shedeur can't even color outside the lines without being criticized. They don't want to admit they failed where Jackson Dart is concerned. What made you think he was going to be good if everybody that ranks people based on talent and actual play and on the field said he's not? You chose to overlook the truth. You wanted to put forth a lie because that was your preference. So fans are paying money for preference. If they stop showing up, they're going to get it together. That's what it always takes. All right. So we out of here. I'm going to get ready for tomorrow. Y'all have some very engaging comments today. If y'all want to, y'all can continue them in the comments. We'll be here all night discussing them, but it looks like y'all are having excellent conversation. Hey, see truth. They had to sit Shedeur down and out of camp because he was destroying the other QBs. I'm going to leave this one on the screen and give you your crown of the day. See, you got the crown of the day. See, truth, you have the crown of the day. That is exactly what's happening. And he probably going to get traded because the longer he is there, people will push for him to play and start. And they trying to do everything to make sure that don't happen. They robbed that man. Yep, they did. They did. They did. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank you for the excellent engagement. We'll be back tomorrow. Probably, during the day. Breaking news, just in case it happens, turn your notifications on. 300 people roll with us tonight. Awesome. Thank you. If you hear anybody asking the questions for reporters in various outlets, if Shedeur is the best quarterback proven that y'all have, since Shedeur is the best quarterback proven, better than Flacco, better than Pickett, better than Gabriel, why is it you don't want him to be your starting quarterback if he was going to be your franchise quarterback? Let me know if you hear the question. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. Hit the like button, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody. See y'all tomorrow. Don't forget to turn on your notifications because I could see something happening. Well, we got to just go live impromptu. Thank you. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Be sure to join our daily live stream and listen up to What She Said Sports on the go on Spotify. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Stay for another video.